Oh man, I could get a lot of hate for this one. So, Warframe. A massively successful free-to-play game with developers that are praised by the community for removing certain microtransactions and pumping out tons of free content. At least, that's what you'll find if you look at the surface. But today, I plan to take you beneath that shining veneer of fanboy praise and show you the festering truth of this game. But before we get into the eldritch undergrowth of sinister design, let's get the game's positives out of the way. Don't worry, it'll be quick. If there's anything that I can praise this game for, it is the moment-to-moment gameplay and the variety of Warframes. It is genuinely fun to rocket yourself into the air and then rain death upon the masses below like an angel on a workplace massacre. And all the variety and frame abilities and playstyles is a large part of the reason that I stuck around so long. I mean, at time of writing, there is 42 different frames that you can collect, and for the most part, each of them has a unique little niche that they fill. But that leads me right into the first of many design choices put in place to sucker people in. I mean, they have straight up designed a lot of their frames to be fetish bait, especially the newer ones. No, really, I'm serious. Do you like an athletic body type? Here you go. Or maybe prefer a bit more jailbait. Boom, right there. No? No? You like the MILF body, huh? Ara ara. Or maybe you into some twincest, huh? How about penta-twincest? Not your style? You know, you prefer barely legal party girls? Have a diva in a miniskirt. No? Is that? You prefer women to be so strong that their vagina muscles will snap your dick in half during sex? Muscle lady coming through. Or perhaps you're into some like micro stuff? Yeah, well, here's a frame that can shapeshift into a fairy that's about 3 times the size of your dick. Nah, I gotcha. You like to be dominated, don't you? Here, have a frame whose main abilities are tying people up and then whipping them. Or maybe you just want a cowgirl and assless chaps in a thong. Boom. Got you covered there too. But awesome, I hear you saying. I really like the penis. Where's all the sexy boys? Well, what kind of sexy boys you looking for? You want strong bara boys? Got you covered. Twice. Or maybe you prefer lanky goth boys. Death comes, baby. Or maybe you really like pirating and raiding for booty. All your booty pirating needs, right here. No? You prefer them with a little extra cushion for the pushing? How about this? This enough cushion for you? You know what? No. I know. You're a real man of culture and you're looking for that feminine penis. Well, we got your juicy trap booty right here, complete with cute bulge. Ooh woo. But there's still some of you out there not convinced. I mean, how could anyone be so shallow as to play a game just to look at fake titties and ass? Well, let me introduce you to one last frame. Wisp. Fairly unassuming at first, yeah? That is, until you turn her around and god damn is she thick. But it gets better. Just wait until you see her walk animation. Oh shit, right, the video. I'll admit that I wasn't particularly interested in this frame skill set or playstyle, but you know what? I ground out missions and played with her anyway. Why? Well, I think you know why. But glorious ass and the viewing thereof wasn't the only reason. The other reason is because the game subtly pushes you to collect and use every weapon and frame in the game by making it so that the only way you can increase your mastery rank is by leveling up new weapons and frames. But they decided that you only start the game with a very limited number of weapon slots and frame slots. Yeah, that's right. You start the game only being able to have 2 frames, including the one you start with, and 8 weapons. And those 8 weapons encompass all the primary categories, so your primary weapon, secondary weapon, and melee. And if you go over that number, well, sorry, screw you. You gotta spend the game's in-game currency, platinum, to get more. But new players could just get rid of frames and weapons they've already leveled up to make room for the new ones. Sure, they could. But if they did that and they ever wanted what they just trashed again, they would then have to grind the blueprints for it again, grind all the crafting materials for it again, craft all the pieces again, and then level it up all over again. Oh yeah, did I mention that crafting things takes anywhere from 12 to 24 hours for weapons and up to 72 hours for frames? Yeah, that's right. You know that thing you just earned through gameplay and you're so eager to try out? Well, fuck you! It's not going to be done until tomorrow. Oh, but you could always spend some of that platinum to make it be done right now. You know you want to. It's not like this is another subtle push to make you spend real money on fake in-game currency or anything. Of course, there's also the people who say, but you can get platinum by trading with other players. If you don't want to spend money, then just do that. Yeah, okay. First off, someone who just started the game won't have access to the parts of the star chart that are best for doing this. Secondly, most new players won't know that this is an option, and probably don't have the credits to cover the arbitrary trade tax to even be able to trade with other players. And thirdly, are you really trying to say that new people who want to keep the items that they have just ground out blueprints and resources for should stop what they're doing to grind other repetitive missions just so that they can get the right random drops to sell to other players through a third-party website so they can get the in-game currency required to be able to keep the thing that they originally grinded for? Yeah, that sounds like a great plan for player retention. But they give you 50 free platinum at the start. They can just use that. Oh yeah, the pity platinum. That's only enough for 2 more Warframe slots or 8 more weapon slots. Man, being able to store 4 of the game's 60 different frames, that includes all the prime variants, or 16 of the game's 436 weapons, including prime variants, sure is a great deal. And that's assuming that a new player even knows about the frame and weapon limit before spending their starting platinum. You'll notice that the game isn't in a hurry to let you know that you have this limited inventory space, and most people only find out after they've crafted something and the game gives them a giant middle finger saying, "Fuck you, pay me." And if they've already spent their starting platinum on something else, well, guess it's time to pull out that wallet and buy some bullshit. And don't worry, I'll come back later to all the other things that a new player might spend their platinum on. But hey, you know what? You've been having fun as an acrobatic massacre in waiting, and your body count is getting to the point that even Hitler would be jealous. So you decide to hand over your hard-earned autism bucks so that you can keep the items you've earned, and you continue your one-man genocide through the star chart. And for a while, this will keep you entertained. As I said, the main combat loop of the game is fun, and there is a certain catharsis to be had finding and collecting new guns and frames. But, eventually, you'll run into another of the game's predatory design decisions: potatoes and forma. Now, in order for you to properly understand how these things work and how important they can be, I have to give a quick explanation of how the weapons and frame modding works. So, weapons and warframes start out at level 1, and they go up to level 30. And that level corresponds to the number of points available for modding. Each mod has a cost, and that cost is subtracted from the number of available points until you can't put on any more mods. Simple enough. But later on, you'll be given what the game itself refers to as potatoes, golden and blue variety. The first, the golden ones, can be used to double the mod capacity of your frames from 30 to 60, and the second can be used to double the mod capacity of your weapons to the same value. This is a pretty substantial boost in power, and like a good drug dealer, they give you a little taste of it for free so that you can feel that difference in strength. And then they hide the blueprints to build these things behind timed events that change every few hours, which leaves you with a choice of either obsessively watching the event list and dropping whatever you're doing to go do that event when it pops up, just so you can get the blueprint and then wait 23 hours for it to build, or you could just fork over some cash and buy a pre-built one with in-game currency. I mean, it's only a one-time thing. Surely there's not something you can use infinitely on weapons and frames that also cost platinum, right? Forma then. The short version of how it works is that sometimes your weapons and frames will have little symbols on the mod slots, and if you match that symbol with the symbol on the mod, then it reduces the cost of the mod, but if you mismatch the symbols, then it increases the cost of the mod. Forma allows you to either change what symbol a slot has, or add a symbol to a slot that doesn't have one. Catch is that when you forma a weapon, it resets it to level 1, and you have to level it all over again. But hey, if that grind is too much for you, then you can always just buy a booster. I mean, it's only a little platinum, and surely you would agree that paying money to have to grind our shitty mechanics for less time is totally worth it. Why is this a fucking thing? This means that in order to maximize the power of any weapon or frame, you have to first potato it, and then forma it an unknown number of times, re-leveling it from 1 to 30 every time you do. If you were to grind out all the blueprints, resources, wait the required building time for each piece, and re-level your shit without boosters, then it could take you days just to get a single weapon or frame to an optimized state. Or, you could just pay some real money to buy all the forma and potatoes you want, pre-crafted for your convenience, and a booster to pound it all out in a few hours. Is it starting to sink in just how predatory and baked into the entire game structure these microtransactions are? There's almost no part of the game you can't bypass or shortcut with platinum. You want to level faster? There's a booster for that. Want to get more credits? There's a booster for that too. How about more resources from drops? Booster for that. Or maybe you want to increase the chance of drops. Guess what? Booster for that too. Maybe you don't have the resources you need to craft something? Just buy the resources. Want more colors? Buy the colors. Want different skins? Buy the skins. Want to store more weapons? Buy slots. Want to store more frames? Buy slots. Want to store more pets? Buy slots. Want to store more Arcwing stuff? Buy slots. Don't want to ground out the required missions for a specific frame? Just outright buy the frame. You don't want to grind for a weapon? Just buy the weapon. You need something else that isn't sold through the in-game store? Just buy it from other players. But Ossium, they're still a business. They need to make money. True, they do. But you want to know another free-to-play game with microtransactions that's just as successful without lacing their game with gameplay-affecting microtransactions? Path of Exile. Path of Exile literally has one gameplay-affecting microtransaction, their stash tabs. Everything else is just cosmetic. Admittedly, the cosmetics are a bit overpriced, and I would like to be able to earn them through gameplay, but cosmetic nonetheless. And while I don't really play either Path of Exile or Warframe anymore, at least Path of Exile didn't make me quit in disgust at the state of its in-game economy. I mean, there is no excuse for having the kind of system that Digital Extremes has in place. From the over-sexualized design, to limiting inventory, to the wait times on crafting, to the grindy leveling and the weapon and frame optimization tools, everything in this game is designed to push you towards spending money in one way or another, and they've taken every single opportunity that they can to provide you with ways to throw your money away. There's a reason people say they're more focused on cosmetics and in-game items. It's because they want you to buy that new skin that shows off more ass. And there's a reason that every update ends up introducing the same grindy style of play. It's because they want you to buy boosters. But what I find the worst is the people defending Digital Extremes as some paragon of how free-to-play should be done. Are you people fucking retarded? How can you look at this kind of system and say, you know what, that's the best it can be? We're barely one step up from a shitty mobile gacha game here. And yes, before some white knights start spamming it in the comments, there was that one time the Digital Extremes removed a microtransaction they added because it was getting used too much. Whoop-diddy-fuckity-do. One admirable move does not make up for designing your game from the ground up to be a hotbed of in-game purchases. I could bitch about so much more that's wrong with this game, about how derivative the modding system gets, Rivens and their fucking retarded implementation, how there's no end game, the boring, grinding mini-games you can do for resources, the lack of imagination and mission variety so that every single mission boils down to stand next to thing, shoot baddies, go to the next thing. Or how any new content only exists in a vacuum and has little to no effect on what's already in the game. Or, best of all, how any new content invariably ends up as some grindathon so grindy they end up having to nerf the grind from painfully agonizing to only mind-numbingly boring. It's a shame. It really is. If Digital Extremes had made this game as one you buy up front, structured it as a nice linear progression through the star chart with their story bits having a heavier presence, and added even a simple endgame like Diablo 3's Rifts, it would be a genuinely good or even great game. But instead, they made a game with no clear goal, no real endgame, and leaned all of its systems and mechanics so heavily into the free-to-play microtransaction camp that to fix it at this point would require them to almost redesign everything from the ground up. Don't start playing Warframe. Warframe has no ending, it has no goal. You may get enjoyment from it, but one way or another, you will stop playing it. Maybe the grind will be too much, or maybe you just won't like the combat, or maybe you'll be like me and realize too late just how disgustingly predatory this game is, and forever have your hours played displayed like a mark of shame.